Anybody in the room a mama's boy? Come on. Me too. When I was 5 years old, my mom and I were stopped at a red light. It was raining, coming down like cats and dogs. Somebody rear-ended us going 50 miles an hour. That accident led to her having almost 20 spinal surgeries over the next 10 years. I'm a mama's boy. It was just her and I growing up. She's my best friend. She's the one that looked after me. It was hard. It's hard to watch my mom suffer. It's hard to be that young and become a caretaker. It's hard to watch the pills that she was prescribed to help with her pain become an addiction that took over her life and defined so much of my childhood. It's hard. Like Bill, I had a lot of anger. That heartbreak led me to want to make everyone else around me feel that same pain that I was feeling, because like Bill, I didn't have any other way to cope with it. By the time I was a teenager, I was arrested nearly a dozen times, breaking into people's homes, stealing their cars. Broke into a cop car once and stole a gun and had helicopters chase me all around town. I was angry. The juvenile justice system threw a lot of things at me to try and curb that anger. Probation, juvenile detention, residential placement, every therapy with every CBT, every acronym you could possibly imagine. It didn't work. Those programs were so focused on their metrics. Was I adhering to the therapy model? Was I meeting these arbitrary probation requirements? When I wasn't, I was sent deeper and deeper into a system that was blind to how it affected my life outcomes because it was so focused on their program metrics. I got really, really lucky. I worked hard. It was not easy to climb out from that place in my life to where I am today. I'm also a white man in America. None of those things should have determined whether or not I was on this stage with you here today. I made it into college, became my school's student body president, which is really cool. I earned a Harry S. Truman National Scholarship, something that never in a million years I thought I would do. And the governor of Florida appointed me to the board of the Department of Juvenile Justice, the same system that incarcerated me just a few years before. You can clap. My life was drastically different. It was completely transformed. But for the vast majority of my peers that I was in that system with, it was not the case. When that clicked at some point in college, that my journey was the exception and not the norm, I couldn't sleep at night anymore. I knew that I had to do something to correct that wrong. My name's Michael Long, and I'm the founder and CEO of SailFuture. We build innovative programs that give our hardest to reach kids an opportunity to transform their life outcomes. Life outcomes, not program metrics. Think about program metrics. If you're a school, it's attendance. It's high school graduation. It's standardized test scores, right? If you're working in criminal justice, it's recidivism, right? If you're working in addiction, it's relapse. We focus so much on these metrics that sometimes we forget about the human being that's in front of us, searching for a way out. I knew that when we founded SailFuture, the only way that we were going to have a chance to reach kids like me was to do something radically different. Get ready, because when I say radical, I mean it's truly radical. Back in college, I learned how to sail. Fell in love with the ocean because it was the freest I'd ever felt in my life. And I had this crazy idea. What if, instead of putting kids in jail, we instead put them on a boat in the middle of the ocean? Right? We're still protecting our communities. Right? They're not in there stealing your cars anymore. They're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Told you it was radical. But I knew that it would take something like that to reach someone like me. And in 2015, judges across the United States agreed. I was 23 years old, so I would question the judgment of a judge for placing 10 of the highest risk juvenile offenders in the United States on a 65-foot sailboat with me somewhere in Spain. This actually happened. So there we were, off the coast of Spain, on this boat with these 10 exceptional young men that grew up very similar to the way I did. We left the port, went out in the open ocean, sailed along the coast of North Africa, all over the Canary Islands. We battled rain, waves, crazy, crazy conditions, and even some pirate scares. Every single day that we were at sea, we put our lives in each other's hands. Every watch, every hour at the helm. You accidentally jibe, that boom comes over, hits the rigging, the mast comes down, the boat goes down, along with each and every one of us on it. Everybody on the boat had a job and a purpose and a role that contributed not only to us staying alive, but to just daily life. That experience led us to build these relationships with one another that were deeply rooted in trust and powerful and transformational beyond belief. When we reached our final port and the boys flew home to their respective cities across the country, 6 of 10 of them remained crime-free for a year. The juvenile justice systems that referred my boys to us were ecstatic. They clapped just like you did right now. That recidivism rate was 100% better than what they usually get when they put a kid behind bars. But that recidivism rate meant that Darius and Nigel and Tyler and Ridge went back to prison. That recidivism rate made the assumption that my other 6 boys who didn't go back to jail were going to be okay. The juvenile justice system celebrating that metric told me that systems don't take accountability for people's life outcomes. Systems take accountability for their individual program metrics. Now, I'm not here to bash metrics. It's important for us to have some kind of indicator to tell us what success is, whether or not the things we're supporting, doing, and funding are working. But I am here to say that we can't let those metrics have us settle when the people we're serving need and deserve so much more. So we didn't settle. We went back to the drawing board. Okay, we sent our kids home back to the communities that led to some of those same challenges that brought them into the juvenile justice system in the first place. What if instead we had a home where we lived and they had a stable place with loving people that helped shepherd them through the rest of their adolescence? I bet. Let's buy a house. We did. And then we were introduced to another social system, the foster care system. As our folks at Handy know, the foster care system has its own metrics. Length of stay, number of months in care, number of placement moves in 12 months. Really important metrics to see where we're going. In the first year that SailFuture operated our house, we were the best provider in the state of Florida according to those metrics, working with the state's hardest kids. What do you think that system did? Yes, they clapped. What do you think I did? I cried. I cried because although we were achieving these great program metrics, the kids that I was living with every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, still weren't achieving great life outcomes. We weren't addressing their mental health needs because the system wasn't designed to work with kids like me. The public school that they were attending just down the road from our house wasn't ready to deal with the shit that they were bringing into the front door. Love you. When my boys aged out and went into adulthood, they still were becoming homeless. Mind you, best program metrics in the state. They weren't ready to walk into a business and be a member of a team. They didn't have those skills. So again, we took a step back. And we said, if we're going to achieve great life outcomes for our boys, what do we need to do? And we started filling each and every single one of those gaps. We opened a private high school and started writing curriculum that was designed to reach our kids. Science and math with a real-world application, rather than just saying, you need to do this if you want to go to college and get a good score on this test. No. Build a tiny house, and that's how you're going to learn geometry. It was real. We opened up our own mental health division and started delivering therapy on boats and on kayaks and parks and martial arts gyms. And guess what? Our kids actually started talking to their therapists. They had a relationship that was rooted in trust, that allowed them to work through the trauma that gave them that anger that always blocked them from moving forward. We were tired of our kids becoming homeless, so we started renting apartments right down the road so that they had somewhere to go right away. We were tired of businesses telling us that our kids weren't skilled and they were too hard to work with. So we started our own construction company. And we taught them the trades that they needed to know to be great foremen and skilled laborers on a job site, but most importantly, help them realize how to be effective in a business setting. When we started filling those gaps, we started to actually see our mission live up to its full potential. We saw our kids transform their lives. I'll give you an example. He's actually at home watching this right now. I love you, Bruce. I met Bruce when he was 14 years old. He was in a group home, living with people that weren't all that concerned with his life outcomes. Not because they're bad people, but because they weren't set up to be able to do so. Bunk beds everywhere, shift staff coming left and right, staff smoking pot with the kids. Bruce was skipping school, getting high. He was angry. He's angry that he'd bounced back and forth in and out of this foster system his entire childhood because his mom was struggling with an addiction that she couldn't take control over. Just like my mom was. That anger could have led Bruce to make the exact same decisions that I did. Thank God we met each other when we did. We moved into the house, and literally a week later, we got on our boat and we sailed 2,000 miles south to Puerto Rico. He was my first mate. He's my right hand. And when he was at sea, he realized he was a natural leader. He realized that he was skilled. People listened to him when he said something. He developed a passion for being out on the ocean, and it gave him the seed to start imagining what a career could look like for himself. When we got back from sailing, we get settled in at home, we start getting back into the classroom routine. He started engaging with a curriculum that, again, was designed for him. Started paying attention in school, ended up being one of the first graduates of our new 35,000 square foot brick and mortar high school. We can clap. He built a relationship with a therapist that was rooted in martial arts. When Morgan first tried to do a therapy session with him, it was hilarious. He'd had so many therapists come and go in his life that he wasn't ready to open up to anyone again. And instead of her saying, all right, we'll try again next week, she said, no, get your ass in the car. Took him over to a martial arts gym and started practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's where he worked through that anger. You see, Bruce is our why. Bruce is why we hold ourselves accountable to life outcomes and not just program metrics. Bruce is why all of us in this work have to figure out what those gaps are and not say, that's not my job. We have to look at those gaps and say, how do we fill them so that way this person doesn't slip through them? Today, SailFuture is a team of almost 50 passionate leaders working across 6 integrated programs in St. Petersburg, Florida. We're constantly growing, we're constantly hiring. If anybody wants to be on a boat with 6 teenage foster boys for a couple months, come talk to me. And we're always looking for innovative partners and philanthropists that want to join us in this work to fight for life outcomes. Thank you.